beautiful souls, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. Today, as always, I have a general reading for you, and as always with any general reading, only take what resonates and leave the rest. Not all of it is going to resonate for everybody, and that is okay. My readings are timeless and can be past, present or future. Spirit will always guide you to a message that you need to hear exactly when you need to hear it. Okay. For the ease of channeling, I'm going to use the pronouns he or she, but by all means swap them out for pronouns that fit for you if they don't. Okay. Okay, so I'm hearing that somebody is coming to the realization that you didn't choose something or someone else over them. It wasn't a popularity thing. Basically, you chose someone or something else over them because you chose who was there for you. This somebody wasn't showing up for you. It wasn't serving you. I feel like this is a person, so a person or a group of people are realizing that you didn't choose another person or a group of people over them out of anger, out of spite, or for anything other than that this person or this group of people were there for you when you needed them. And someone's realizing that you walked away from them because they weren't there for you when you needed them. They didn't step up. Somebody else stepped up for you and you chose them instead. And yeah, I feel like they're kind of like in shock at your level of self-love, because ultimately you made a choice out of self-love. You chose to focus on somebody, you chose to focus on people, places and things that were actually there and supporting you, not just people that said that they were, people that were actually stepping up and showing you with their actions. And at the time, somebody thought that you were, somebody was in pick me energy and they wanted you to pick them and you didn't. It was jealousy and it was competitiveness, basically. Somebody was competing with somebody else. So you had two people or two groups of people fighting for your attention. You chose the group that was standing up, stepping up and supporting you, and the other people took it was a blow to their ego. Okay, I hope that is making sense. We have High Priestess, harness mystical power. Yeah, there was a person or a group of people in a situation that wasn't aligning with what they were saying. Their actions, their words and their energy weren't in alignment. Okay, they would say that they were there for you and that they supported you, but there was no actual physical evidence to back that up. And so like their words weren't, so their actions and their energy was in alignment, but they weren't in alignment with their words. So their words were, I support you, I support this, I support that, but their energy and their actions were telling you something else. And you trusted that, you trusted your intuition with that, whereas there was another group of people that said they were there for you, supported you, their energy, their actions and their words were all in alignment, and they were stepping up for you and showing up for you and supporting you. And instead of focusing on trying to get this other person or this other group to step up for you, you chose to focus on the people and be grateful for the people that were already there doing that for you without you even having to ask. And this other person or this group of people are now realizing that they didn't step up for you and they didn't support you, and now I'm realizing that that is why you chose to walk away from them and disconnect from them. Okay, we have Hunter, track down your fears and desires. Like you were focused on, they weren't. See, I feel like this is you and this is the group of people. Like, you were looking at them and using your discernment with regards to what was going on, looking at it from a higher perspective. They weren't focused on you, okay? So the energy wasn't reciprocal, it wasn't in alignment. You were coming from a place of truth, integrity, alignment. Your actions were and choices were pure, they were innocent. They came from a place of self-love, self-worth and integrity, and seeing things from a higher perspective. And I'm not sure what this actually is, but I'm seeing a mirror, and it's like you held up the mirror to these people, and instead of them facing the mirror, so you may have said something to these people with regards to not stepping up for you. You may not have outrightly said to them, look, you're never there for me, you're never there when I need you, blah, blah, blah. But you said something in a roundabout way, okay? You tried to kind of like speak your truth, but in a more gentle way, because you ultimately, you love and you cared about this person, and you didn't want to, because you know your words can be blunt and they can be cutting. You were trying to choose your words carefully, but the message didn't go through because ultimately their focus wasn't on you. They weren't bothered about making an effort to step up for you. Okay, so they just thought if they said that they were there for you and they supported you, that that would be enough. And it may have been for a time, but then you get to a point where words alone are not enough and their actions weren't in alignment with their words. And you kind of had to face the mirror, you had to face the truth and be honest with yourself. It's like I can hear someone saying, I knew that they weren't supporting me, but like I knew the whole time. That's what I'm hearing. I knew the whole time, but I turned a blind eye because I hoped that in time they would align. But you had to hold up the mirror to yourself and be honest with yourself with regards to these people were saying they supported you, but their actions, they were never there when you needed them. So it may have been something where you went through something where people should have been stepping up and showing up for you and supporting you, and maybe you were only able to put in 20% because you were going through something. Maybe you had some sort of health issue, or your mental health wasn't, we all have mental health, but maybe you went through a stage where it wasn't at its best. And this person or this group of people should have been stepping up to support you and put in the extra work, and they didn't. They chose to sit back and do nothing. And you had to hold up the mirror and be really honest and with yourself and remove the mask from these people and stop seeing them. Remove the rose tinted glasses. You had to remove your rose tinted glasses from this person or this situation and realize that actually you just, because I feel like on some level you didn't want to face the truth because you really cared about this person or this group of people, and you knew that if they didn't change you were going to have to walk away, and ultimately you didn't want that. So I feel like you turned a blind eye to a degree. For so long you turned a blind eye, and then it got to a point where something really big happened and something about a big milestone, but there's also something around that. So there may have been a huge milestone coming in for you, and it's something that other people could see that you've been through so much and you really deserved it, but this person or this group of people were just like, whatever, no big deal. So they didn't put the effort in. I feel like there was more going on around this, but I feel like there was some sort of big milestone, like a promotion, a new relationship, an engagement, a wedding, a pregnancy. But these people, or some sort of health issue, where there was a person or a group of people that did not step up to support you, and that was kind of like the final straw. And as a result, you had to be brutally honest with you, and you weren't angry, you weren't resentful, you weren't coming from a place of trying to punish these people. It was purely this has gone, I can't do this anymore, I cannot ignore the truth anymore, this person doesn't support me, I'm fed up of hearing that they support me and yet their energy and their actions are not in alignment. And you may have said something to this person about how they were saying they supported you and they were there for you, but you were getting a different message, and they may have tried to gaslight your intuition. But ultimately, and they may have thought that, um, that they'd got away with it, but they're now realizing they didn't, and they're realizing that you actually walked away something. They've had some sort of realization that you've walked away from them, and it may not be this person directly, it could be a group of people around this person that are realizing that you stepped away from this person, that you've moved away from this person because they're never there for you, they do not step up for you. Somebody's realizing that you don't cut. So there's somebody heard a rumor that you're very quick to cut people off, and it's been twisted in you cut people off because you're not getting your own way. And somebody went out of their way to say that you were like emotionally unstable, because you know what you want. Somebody said that you were ungrateful, emotionally unstable, and that basically you were controlling and manipulating and trying to get what you wanted out of people. But somebody else is realizing that that's not who you are, okay? Because your actions are not in alignment. Somebody's been watching you with this hunter. Somebody's been watching you, okay? But it's not in a really weird stalkerish kind of way. It's kind of a good thing. They've been sitting back and observing you, okay? Because maybe their intuition was trying to tell them that something was off, okay? Because what they were hearing and what they seeing wasn't lining up, and they may have believed it for a time, but you've walked away from a person or a group of people, and they're now, somebody is realizing why. Something you said with regards to you're the type of person, somebody's realizing that you warned them and that they were given warnings. But I feel it is somebody, because I do feel like there's more than one person. So there could have been a person, and I'm kind of being reminded of one or two of my other readings where a person or a group of people were trying to get through to another person as to why you've walked away. So it may be not that there is one or two people that don't understand it, but there are people around them that are realizing why you've walked away. And it's because, and I feel like you've made it abundantly clear that you are somebody that is going to focus on your self-worth, your self-love, your boundaries. And if they are disrespected, not because you think too highly of yourself, not because you're selfish, not because you're greedy, not because you're ungrateful, because you're absolutely grateful for everything that comes your way, but that you're walking away from a place of self-love because you've been through so much bullshit. You're not willing to, you know your worth, and that there's nothing wrong with knowing your worth. But somebody is realizing, somebody's been like sitting back and observing you because they heard a rumor that you kind of just cut people off when you don't get your own way, where that you're a user and you just cut people out when you're done with them, you cut them off. And there's someone has been watching you and observing you and is realizing that's not the case. They are realizing that you cut people off because the energy isn't reciprocated. Because if people aren't stepping up for you and supporting you in the way that you deserve, if people are not showing up for you and you are continuing to show up for them and getting nothing in return, not that we do things to get things in return, but that doesn't mean that the relationship shouldn't be balanced in some way. Okay, someone is realizing that you haven't walked away from them or this group because you're ungrateful, because you're selfish, because you're greedy, because you're a user, because you're crazy, because you're emotionally imbalanced. They're realizing that you are emotionally stable. They are realizing that you are balanced and you see the bigger picture. Something you said there's something that you said that was like a warning. Like you didn't, it was like, it was a warning. I'm hearing, don't push me. You keep pushing me, I'm going. And they didn't see it as a warning at the time because they didn't understand you and because they were hearing negative things about you. People were going behind your back and slandering and trying to destroy your reputation, and say that you were a user. Someone is I'm trying to put it into the right words so that it's clear. I don't feel like I'm being very clear, but maybe this person hasn't quite grasped the understanding of who you really are, but they're starting to okay, they're starting to realize that they're gaining clarity, that you don't just walk away, that you don't use people, that you understand that people just come and go in your life and there's no animosity or there's no bad feelings on your part. But if somebody's not going to step up for you, then you're going to hire, fire, promote accordingly. I had such a better way of saying that, but for some reason the words aren't coming out in that way. So hopefully you get what you understand what I'm saying here. But somebody has been watching you and is realizing that you are exactly who you said you were, and that what they've been hearing about you isn't true, and they're realizing that you've walked away from them or a group of people because they didn't step up and support you when they should have, and that you chose somebody else over them. Although they're seeing it, somebody at the time, somebody thought that it was a pick me. Somebody was like, you need to pick me over this person. So they gave you you may even have been given a choice, an ultimatum, a pick me or pick them. In some cases, that's not going to be for everyone. Or they might not have outrightly said that, but the energy was, you need to make a choice. So you were forced into making a choice, but you made a choice from love and not fear, and you didn't stick with someone because of who they were to you, So this may be that you walked away from family, a long time friendship, a romantic partner. It may even have been career for some of you, okay? But somebody there was an ultimatum, whether it was spoken physically in a physical way or not, or whether or not it was just energetic, there was an ultimatum. You had to make a choice. You chose love, you chose yourself. At the time, a person or a group of people chose you as, and there may have been someone else or something else involved, okay? Like I said, there was a choice between two things. You were seeing the choice as it was a choice between your love for yourself and your self-respect, or people pleasing, coming from a place of fear because you didn't want to cause conflict or chaos. So peace or chaos, that was your choice. Do you want peace or do you want chaos? Love or fear, what's it going to be? You chose love. You did not, in your eyes, you did not choose a person, place, situation over anyone else. But on the outside, because you were seeing things from a higher perspective, so you chose yourself, and then those things, you attracted those things as a result of choosing yourself. This person, place, group, situation, whatever it was for you, because they didn't see it from a higher perspective, they panicked that they were going to lose you or someone else, and they gave you an ultimatum, and ultimately that's what pushed you in the other direction, because that's kind of like that's a form of control. If you're giving people ultimatums, that's a form of control. And I don't know, but if you're like me, but when somebody tries to give me ultimatums or tries to control me, I automatically, I'm just going to rebel against that. If it's not what I want to do, or I feel like I'm being pushed to make a decision, then I'm either going to take a step back. I'm going to take my time. I'm not going to rush. I'm not going to just pick what someone else wants me to do for them. I'm going to rebel against it for a little bit, and then I may end up making that decision and going down that choice, but it has to be my choice. I hope that's making sense. So I'm picking up on the energy of a similar situation where you were concerned, is that somebody was giving you an ultimatum, and ultimately it pushed you in the other direction because you saw that it was coming from a place of control, and it wasn't healthy. Okay, so it pushed you to make sure into the part, pushed you in the door. It kind of made your choice for you, in a sense. They kind of did you a favor, because you were then able to choose yourself without feeling guilty for choosing yourself. Okay, and then everything else was just attracted to you because you were then in alignment, because you chose yourself. And when you choose yourself, things come to you. But at the time, this person or this group saw that you were choosing someone else over them. They were in fear of losing you or someone else, and they acted out as a result of that. But they're now seeing that you chose this other person or this other group in their eyes over them, and because it wasn't you choosing them, it was you choosing you. And that's kind of softened their perspective of you. It's changed their perspective of you. They've been studying you for some time to kind of get to know you from a distance, because they don't feel like they can. So I don't feel like this is somebody that you knew very well, because if this person knew you, then they would have known this about you. If this was someone that you knew, they would have known this about you. But it's kind of like somebody you kind of knew of, or you'd had some sort of interaction with, but not enough for them to actually know you. So it was easier for them to misunderstand your actions, especially if they were also met with somebody else's version of you. but the narrative was twisted. Somebody was trying to turn people against you, okay? But somebody's been watching you and observing you and realizing that you're not a user. You don't just cut people off for no reason. That you're going to stick around, but the minute you feel like you're disrespected and you're being taken for granted, then you're going to step away. And that doesn't, because it's not balanced, because you understand that people are going to be triggered and that you're going to trigger people, but that doesn't mean that you have to stick around and be abused, because that person can't look in the mirror and heal what needs to be healed within them. So it's a case of you're going to love and support them from afar. Somebody is definitely realizing this about you. Yeah. Wise one, grow within your current situation. Yeah. You are somebody who absolutely, if you're faced with a situation, you're willing to stick around. Let's say, for the ease of channeling this message, it's you and a relationship. And a relationship can be friends, family, it can be career. Okay. It can be the relationship with yourself. You are someone that is willing to put the work in. You're not just going to walk away because things have got hard. You're going to look at what's going on. You're going to look at it from your perspective, their perspective, everyone's perspective. You're going to gather the information that you need before you make any rash decisions. You're going to take your time. You're going to go within. You're going to look at what's being triggered within you. Look at where you can heal that. And you're going to understand also that you need to speak your truth, and that may be triggering to others, but you can work through it. There's a way to work through it, but that's only going to work if both people are on the same page, if both people want to do the healing. And if that's not the case, then you're going to have to say, I'm really sorry, but I need to go over here, because you want to continue to grow and you want to continue to evolve. Okay? And unfortunately, you can't take everyone with you. And that's what this situation here is. And somebody is realizing that you were trying to help other people grow. You were trying to grow with them through the situation. And they chose, I don't want to say the wrong path, because I always believe that there is no wrong path. You're going to end up where you're meant to end up eventually. It's just whether or not you're going to take the long road or the short cut. And these people, so basically the path of love, the path of fear, and these people chose to continue on the path of fear because it's what they know. It's what they know. You were offering them something that was like uncharted territory. They'd never been there before. They'd never met anyone like you before. They didn't understand you. They misjudged you. You scared them. Your intuition scared them. Your knowledge, your wisdom. You triggered all those insecurities within them. So they chose the path that they were familiar with. They chose the path of fear. And there's no judgment. Absolutely no judgment on that, because there'll be a lesson or a blessing in that for them. That is their path. People are free to make the choices that they want to make. We all have free will. Unfortunately, for them, as they are learning, there are consequences to their actions and choices when they're not in alignment, and their action, the consequence of their action this time is with you walking away. You didn't have to walk away, and that's what they're realizing. The outcome didn't have to be the outcome had they chosen a different path. We have Magic Guardian, unlock the magic within. And this is what you were trying to do. You were trying to help them grow and ascend and have a better experience at life, because that's who you are. That's what you do. You may be some sort of spiritual teacher, okay? Your purpose, your destiny is here to help people grow and ascend, but you cannot help everybody, okay? And this is what you're really understanding now, and what you're really mastering is you are not for everybody. You are not everybody's spiritual teacher, okay? You may not be able to, you may have gone in and tried to help these people and they rejected you, so you walked away. Spirit took you out because they just weren't growing and ascending. They were just projecting, and it was too much. So you were removed. They were given a choice. They were given two or three chances to choose a different path, and they continued to choose the same path. So it got to a point where enough was enough. You were continuing to grow and ascend, because there was a lesson in here as well for you with regards to you're not for everyone. You cannot help everyone. You can say and do and your purpose and your destiny and stick to your path. And the people that are going to want you to help them and assist them to grow and ascend and unlock all of their abundance and show them how to do it for themselves, they will gravitate towards you. So this was a lesson for you with regards to stop sacrificing yourself for others, okay? Because you cannot save everybody. And I feel like you're very much somebody who is walking karma. And you know this about yourself. You may not have realised at the time of going through this situation just how much of walking karma you are, but you are understanding it now. And so are these people. And you may have tried to save them from that karma, and that's why you stuck around for as long as you did. But you're understanding you can't save people from their karma, as well as, you know, as you can't give people, you can't actively go around serving justice for them, giving them their karma. You just being you and doing what you do is ultimately, you don't even have to actively do anything. The universe will balance of the scales of karma through you as you just go around doing what you do, okay? But somebody, they didn't want to hear you out because you were unknown. You kind of didn't kind of fit in their box. It's kind of like you fit in with everybody, but you didn't fit in the way they wanted you to. You didn't conform. So from that point of view, they kind of rebelled against what you were offering them. They are now seriously kicking themselves because they're realising who you really are. Realising that through their observations and watching you, and kind of getting to know you from a distance and who you are, what you stand for, they're realising that you're exactly who you said you were. You're somebody who stands on business. Okay, if you say you're going to do it, you're going to go out of your way to try and make sure that happens. Does that always mean that it always pays out? No, because sometimes we can't always, as much as sometimes we... So basically, what I'm trying to say is sometimes we want to be there for people, and we will say to people, oh, I'm going to do this for you, okay? And your energy, your word, and your actions at that time are in alignment. But sometimes what happens is choices that people make, not necessarily you, but others, impacts you then being there for them. And then sometimes we can't fulfill that, and it's not because we don't want to. But then there's a difference between saying you're going to do something for someone and not having the intention to do it at all. So the intention behind it is very, very different, okay? Your intention behind stepping up for others and doing things for others is pure. It's what you want to do. You genuinely want to be there, but for whatever reason, be it because you're like lacking the financial support, or you're going through your own dark night of the soul, so you can't actively support somebody through theirs at that time because you can't pour from an empty cup, then the universe is going to see that. You're not going to be, inverted commas, punished with karma because of that, because your intention was pure. And there may be a really good reason that you couldn't step up and do those things for that person. And it may be that because the lesson for that person is to not rely on you, it's to show them to start relying on themselves and finding those resources and using the resources within them. Okay. Whereas there are other people that say to people, oh yeah, I'm going to do that for you, I'm going to do that for you, and then they never do it because they don't have the intention to do it. Those are the people that are going to like receive karma. I'm really not quite sure why I've had to explain that, where that's coming from, but hopefully that's resonating for somebody or answering somebody's questions. Because somebody is realizing that you are someone who genuinely steps up and supports others when you can. And not because you have to or you feel obligated to, but because that's just who you are. That you are pure, you are innocent. And also realizing you were an innocent party to what was going on behind your back. And that maybe somebody else within this group isn't as pure and innocent as they're trying to make out. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's get some clarification. King of Pentacles. Yeah. You had to look in the mirror. You had to choose yourself. That's what you did. You chose yourself. You didn't choose another person, a job, or anything over anyone. You literally chose yourself. But in choosing yourself, a partner, a job, new friends were like then like drawn to you. You attracted those things because you cleared space for them. Okay, because they what you moved away from was no longer serving you, and it was blocking all these things coming in. So when that person went, all these things started to flow in for you. Somebody watched you walk away, but it feels like they didn't expect you to stay away. But somebody is absolutely, with this cup, there's one cup here, so there's eight cups. Now the 7 of Cups is about choices and going in different, different choices, different directions. The Ace of Cups is ultimately about self-love and filling your own cup. Somebody has been watching you and is realizing that you walked away from a place of self-love. And not because you're a user. And ultimately that walking away from this is what's giving you your abundance. You knew, somebody is realizing that you knew what had to be done. Okay, that you knew that you were being sent into something about this a group of people, and you being sent into this group of people to unlock their abundance, to share your knowledge and your wisdom with them, to unlock. So it may be that, okay, you may have said something to a person or this group of people with regard to a situation and things that were going on that needed to change, and it may have been about another person or the family with, or a setting. This could be a family. The things weren't, because stability, family is it doesn't have to be, okay, it could be work family, or a friendship that feels like family, but it wasn't built. The point is, it wasn't built on a firm foundation. You knew that. You went in with your knowledge and your wisdom, your intuition, and you could see that things weren't built on a firm foundation, and you shook things up. You shook things up within this group of people. They were happily going along, staying stuck, staying stagnant, not really happy with their lives, wanting more, but not really doing anything about it. You went in to shake it up, to clear out anything that wasn't built on a firm foundation so that it could be built on a firm foundation. But they misunderstood that, and I think you may have said something about someone or about this group that offended other people within the group, Or it may be that one or two people within the group didn't like that you were so free with your speech because they didn't feel that they could be. So it created some sort of jealousy, some sort of animosity with regards to, it's something to do with your freedom of speech, the way that basically that you came in and you said what you wanted to say. You were speaking from a place of truth and integrity. And yeah, okay, at times that may have been a little bit blunt to others. It may have come across blunt to others, but it was always coming from a place of love, because you're someone who likes things built on a firm foundation. You don't brush things under the carpet. These people kind of brush things under the carpet, and they tried to get rid of you rather than actually just because they didn't understand you. They didn't get you. They didn't understand your purpose and what you were trying to do for them, because you may not have actively told them. Because the thing is, when you actively tell someone, oh, okay, I'm doing this because it's going to benefit you in this way, then they're not necessarily going to accept you for pure intentions. They're going to accept you because then they're getting something from you, and then they're using you. So basically, you weren't using them, they were using you. And then it got to a point where they didn't see that you had any benefit to them, that you couldn't offer them. They didn't see what you were offering. They couldn't see what you were offering. This is what you were offering them: a new way of being, that's built on a firm foundation, a better life, a life of abundance in all areas of their life. They couldn't see that that's what you were offering them, because they weren't looking in the mirror and realizing that what you were reflecting back at them is what they don't feel like they can offer. So it may be something here with regards to someone who has money or likes to pretend that they have money, and so it may also have been on the other hand that they didn't feel that they had anything to offer you, but you weren't looking for anything from them in return. So it may be that somebody tried to offer you money and sort of throw money at you, but you're not somebody who can be bought in that way. And they didn't know what to do about that, because they're so used to kind of like throwing money at people because they feel like they've got money, so that's what they can offer. And it didn't work with you. You didn't need that. You weren't asked, because you weren't asking for anything in return from these people, or this, you weren't asking for anything in return. And they didn't understand that, because everybody wants something in return, right? No one's that pure, no one's that innocent, no one's that kind to do something without expecting something in return. But you were, because you're a real one. You're ascended. You know that you don't expect anything back in return. You're going to do what you want to do and help people because that's who you are. And you know that eventually, the universe is going to balance the scales, and that will come back to you. But that's not why you're doing it. You're doing it because it's purely who you are and your intentions are pure. But these people don't have pure intentions. So they assume that everybody else is like them. So it was also, as much as like they didn't feel like you could offer, they couldn't see what you were offering them, because ultimately deep down they didn't feel like they had anything to offer you. They didn't feel like they were good enough for you, but you weren't asking for anything in return. Now, you've walked away from them and you're like abundant and healthy and everything's going really, really well for you. And now they're suddenly realizing, Judgment and Ten of Wands, they're burdened because they judged you, they misjudged you, and you just got up and left. They were judging you based on who they are, not on who you are. I'm just going to keep those ones out. They judged you on who they were, not who you are. And somebody within this group, I do feel it is a group, there's definitely more than one person. So it's two or more. But somebody has been watching you and observing you from a distance. I think to start with, it was like keeping an eye on you, waiting for you to slip up because you're too good to be true. But then it got to a point where they suddenly started to realise, no, actually, this is actually who you are. This is actually who you are. And the penny has finally dropped that you didn't walk away because you're ungrateful or because you're trying to isolate someone or because you're controlling and manipulative. It was purely because, hold on, you're slagging me off behind my back. You're trying to push me out. Why on earth would I stick around for that? It was self-worth. It was self-love the whole time. Like, no, you don't get to abuse me behind my back and think that basically somebody's worked out that you realised what was going on, that you know what was going on, or to some degree. You may not know everything, but to some degree you know enough, basically. Okay, you know enough of what was going on behind your back to make you go, okay, do you know what, I owe you nothing. I'm not going to come in here with my knowledge and my wisdom and share it with you because you feel entitled to it and allow you to abuse me. You can have my knowledge and you can have my wisdom and I will gladly share it with you, but do not abuse me. You don't have to give me anything in return, but you do not get to abuse me. You do not get to insult me. And you're going to walk away. Because they didn't need to give you money. They didn't need to give you anything. You were willing to be around them, share your knowledge for nothing, for no other reason than because it's who you are and you enjoy helping others. You are here to help others. And they kind of tried to repay that by going behind your back and slandering your name and your reputation. No, you don't get to do that. Why on earth they thought they could get away with it is beyond me. Like, because you're so intuitive, they kind of just thought they could gaslight their way out of it. But there was definitely a person that was going behind your back. But I do feel like there's a group of people or a few people around this person that are realising that you're who you said you were and you're not who this other person has been saying you are. And the lovers, that your choices come from love. That you aren't making decisions from a place of ego. You're making choices from a place of love, because when you do what's right for you, it's going to benefit everyone. And that if somebody doesn't like the boundaries that you have in place, that's not your problem. That's a them problem. But somebody is absolutely realizing you're exactly who you said you were, and that you are the way you balance between the spiritual and the physical. They're like seeing and kind of like, oh, stuck on my words, it's like they're in awe of the way, the balance that you have, the control. I'm going to use the word control lightly because control has such a negative connotation, but it's not control, it's like mastering. You've mastered the balance between the light and the dark, the masculine, the feminine, the spiritual, the physical, the emotional, the mental. It's all in balance. It all works in synergy. And that doesn't mean that from time to time you don't come out of alignment, because you do to a degree, to shift out and clear out anything that's not in alignment with you. But you know how to bring yourself back into alignment. You're observing, you know your own cycles, you know what works for you. And if you don't, you research ways to help yourself, or you find somebody else that can help you. You use the resources available to you, okay? But somebody around you is they're just in awe, because they're realizing that, like, it feels hopeful as well. I feel like this person is hoping that they can have a new beginning with you, because I'm just being drawn to the fact that she's walking away with this sunlight. Somebody is very has been watching and observing it, and you've walked away and you've had a new beginning and you've started over again. So you may be somebody, maybe this person may have been watching you for years. This could even be a father figure. The way you get knocked down but you get up again. The way you overcome, the way it doesn't matter. You're willing to walk away from whatever it is and start again, and it doesn't matter. Like, even if you're getting older, you know, starting over, especially as you get older, it's never fun. And but you're willing to do it because you're willing to do what it takes to maintain that peace and integrity and make the choices that are right for you, because you understand that in doing that, you're leaving behind a legacy for future generations. And in doing that for yourself, you're going to inspire others to do the same for them. It's a domino effect. It's going to have a knock-on effect. And then that energy is going to go out into the world, and you're going to help create a better world. That is your legacy. Even if you don't benefit from it, it doesn't matter to you, because you know that you're leaving behind a legacy and abundance and healing old traumas and old ancestral karma for the generations that are going to come after you. And in doing that, you're also healing the generations that came before you. Your ancestors will also ascend. Your spirit team will ascend through your healing. Your children or your nieces and nephews and their children and your grandchildren, all that, they will benefit from your healing, from you making the choices that are right for you. And somebody is finally understanding who you are. I'm hearing that somebody thought you were lazy. There's been something about you being lazy. Someone's realizing you're not lazy, that they just don't see the work that you put in because you don't brag about it. You're not someone who brags about what you do. You go off, you do the healing, and then you just come back. People are like, finally realizing that actually you're not lazy. That basically you have that work-life balance, that you can. So somebody was jealous of the way that. So it may be something to do with your career, where you can do what you want to do when you want to do it, and you can take those days off for yourself. So you could be somebody who is self-employed, and it could be that you don't have to work a 9-to-5 job. You can choose the hours that you work, and if you want to not work for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you can take that time off, and you're still going to be abundant, because you understand that rest is just as important, and you're not productive to anybody if you're burning yourself out. Somebody was jealous of that, but they've gone round saying that you're lazy, or somebody said something, and maybe you didn't have a job that you go out and work, so you're lazy because you don't have a job. Maybe somebody said you didn't want to get a job, and that's not the case. You're not doing the typical, I'm going to do this job for the sake of doing this job because I've got bills to pay, I've got money to, I've got to earn my money. You're on your purpose, and it's going to the money, whether you get actively paid for the job or whatever you're doing. Maybe somebody saw something as a hobby, and they're now realizing actually you're really good at what you do, and you could actually be really successful financially by doing it. but you're not doing it for the money. You're doing it because you love doing it. You love helping others. And you know that the universe is just going to make sure that you have the financial support, even if that doesn't come directly from what you're doing. So you could be doing what you're doing for free, but the universe is going to make sure that that money is returned to you in another way. And it could come in the form of someone gifting you something, and it could be in the form of say you need something and you're thinking, right, I'm going to save up my money and then I'm going to go buy that, and then somebody says to you, oh, I bought this, here you go, I bought this for you, or I bought this, I don't really get on with it, do you want this? That is the universe paying it forward. It's paying it back to you. And that's what somebody didn't understand, but they've been observing you, and from a distance, I do feel like it started off with somebody spying, trying to catch you out, maybe because they were watching you as a way to, like, they may be trying to protect somebody else that was involved with you. So if you're in a relationship, it could be that they were watching you to make sure that the other person involved, that your partner, was like safe, so to speak, because they heard that you were controlling and manipulative, and that you cut people off. My nose is itching. Someone was irritated and angry because they were told that you were controlling and manipulative, and that you cut people off because you're a user, and that's not the case. That's not what they're seeing, and they now feel betrayed. But somebody's been observing you, and it does feel very much that they were observing you from a distance because they didn't trust you. Now they're because of what they heard about you, and now they're seeing a different side of you, and they feel angry and betrayed. They feel like they've been catfished, okay, because somebody pretended to be. So basically, somebody pretended to be you and present themselves as if they were you, and actually, and what they were saying about you is actually who they are. So somebody feels like they've been catfished. So I'm going to get some advice or guidance with regards to next steps and moving forward with this situation. This situation, definitely involves more than one person. But there is one specific person that has been watching you. We have manifesting miracles, Archangel Orion. Thank you, Orion, for manifesting your miracles in my world. Yeah. We have Speak Your Truth, Archangel Gabriel. Thank you, Gabriel, for helping me to speak with integrity. And we have the Miracle of Prayer, Archangel Sandalphon. Thank you, Sandalphon, for delivering my prayers to heaven. Yeah. You may have asked for assistance with this situation and guidance with regards to what to do, or you may have asked Spirit to show you the people that weren't for you, so you could cut out what is no longer serving you and do what needs to be done. And you may have been shocked and surprised to find out it was a specific person. But it feels like I'm shocked, but I'm not surprised. I'm gutted because I didn't want to have to cut you out, but unfortunately you moved how you moved, and now I'm going to move out of your way respectfully. But I feel like you definitely was someone, is someone who speaks their truth, not to offend anyone, but because in not speaking your truth, you're not serving anyone. And I do feel like there is something that you said or you did unintentionally because it was misinterpreted, but it offended somebody. And it may have just been like they were offended because they didn't feel like they could speak up about it, a person or a situation, and there you were, you came waltzing in and said it anyway. And they got jealous and resentful because maybe somebody allowed you to say that there could be another person in, and so it feels there is, for some of you, there was a person that didn't feel that they were able to say what they wanted to say or make the choices with regards to certain other people when it because of another person that they were linked to within this group. So this could be a couple. So let's use the family dynamic as an example, okay? But obviously place it where it fits for you. But let's say you've got a husband and wife, and the other group of people are, so you've the wife is the in-law, and she's married to the brother of this group of people. If you were also an outsider and you came in, you spoke up about something that was going on within this group of people or someone within this family setting with one or more of the siblings. This person didn't like that you were able to say, they got jealous because you said something in front of their husband and their husband didn't put you in your place. Their husband didn't shut you down, but if they'd have said anything like what you said, he would have shut them down. Does that make sense? That's the kind of energy I'm picking up on. It doesn't have to be a husband and wife. It could be a work situation, okay? Or it could just be a friend group, that there's this level of hierarchy within a friend group where somebody didn't feel like they could say something. You were an outsider and you came in and you just said it. You said what everyone was thinking. And they envied that about you, and because of that they felt like they needed to push you out. They didn't like your freedom of speech. They were offended by your freedom of speech because they envied your freedom of speech. But you may have asked for the angels and spirit, God, source, creation, whatever your belief system is, to illuminate, for a better word, who the people that weren't supporting you, who truly wasn't supportive of you, so that you could do what needed to be done. And unfortunately, these people were illuminated. This situation then happened to show you who was not for you. And then as walking away, you may have on the other side may have just said to spirit, I want to manifest people that are actually going to support me. And spirit are like, okay, but in order for you to have that, you need to you have free will. Spirit are not going to say to you, you have to, but they are going to guide you with regards to moving away from certain places or situations and people. If it's within your highest good, you have the choice whether or not you move away from them or not. But if you choose not to, no one's going to judge you, but spirit are going to say, well, okay, then you're going to have to go through this cycle again until you learn the lesson, because you're not choosing yourself. If you choose these people from a place of self-love, fine. But if you're not choosing them from a self-love, then you're going to have to repeat the cycle. I hope that makes sense. But you chose yourself anyway, so you don't need to worry about that because you chose yourself. And as a result of that, everything that you wanted to manifest or is finding its way to you because you've cleared that energy out and you're clearing that energy out. And that is what someone's realizing, that you didn't cut them off because you wanted to. You cut people out because you were left with no choice. You had no choice. And I don't feel like they don't feel angry or resentful towards you either. Like there's a new level of understanding going, oh, okay, so how can I get back in with you? Because I don't want to not be in your life. But they're also understanding why you cut someone else out, because I feel like they're getting to the point where they're going to end up doing the same. On the bottom of the deck, we have signs from heaven. Thank you, heaven, for sending me reminders of your presence. Feathers could be a sign for you that this reading is for you. I'm also seeing people coming to you in dream state. Okay, so somebody may try to contact you in dream state, or you may dream about a particular person or a group of people because they want to come back in. Okay, use your discernment with regards to that. Okay, you don't owe anyone anything. They don't have to come back into your life. Apology accepted, access denied. But I just feel that this is signs that somebody has been observing you and realizing that actually you are a peaceful person. You're not someone who, you don't bring the chaos. You disconnect from the chaos, and they completely had you all wrong. You are exactly who you said you were. They just chose not to believe it. Because at the time they weren't open to receiving what you had to offer because they couldn't see it. So there's two ways of looking at that, isn't there? Okay, so this is where you're going to have to use your discernment, okay? Because I'm hearing, well, if you couldn't see my worth at the time, then so there's a phrase, isn't it? If you can't support me at my worst and be there for me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at at my best. And that's the kind of energy that I'm picking up on here. Is that basically now you're doing really well, now you're really abundant, people are believing what you're saying, and therefore they're like, oh, okay, I want to come back in then. But then on the other hand, there's a person or a couple of people that want back in, not because they want to benefit from this. Like, I don't feel like they want to come back in because they want anything from you. They genuinely just want to be in your life because they actually like you. And yeah, so you're really going to have to use your discernment with regards to that. Letting go creates space for me to receive. Absolutely. You had to clear out what was no longer serving you in order to manifest the things that were a vibrational match to you. Someone is really understanding you now on just a deeper level, and somebody feels a little bit like sad, a little bit like regretful, but they're hopeful that they can put things right, that they can make things right. So somebody actually wants to make things right with you, but that's going to have to be, that's your free will choice what you do with that. You don't owe these people anything, but somebody genuinely wants to make things right with you. But when they come to you, because I do feel like they're going to reach out to you, when they come to you, make sure that their words, energy and actions are all in alignment, okay? Because there's going to be some that want just back in purely because you're doing well, and they now feel like you've got something to offer them. But then there's going to be those that genuinely just want to be your friend, be your relative, be your co-worker, whatever, and they don't want anything in return, okay? So you're going to have to, the only way to know for sure is going to be whether or not their energy, words and actions are all in alignment. If somebody's truly sorry for what they've done to you and they want to make things right, they're going to go out of their way to... And that doesn't mean that they have to go overboard in like proving themselves to you, but you'll just know because they'll have grown up, they'll have ascended, and everything will be in alignment. You'll know that if they're coming from a place of integrity or not. You'll feel it, okay? Every day I am stronger, braver, and wiser. I live and grow in harmony with the universe. Yes, like, you're just here for peace, okay? And you're here to show others how to gain that peace for themselves. And somebody's really understanding your purpose. And it may even just be you that's really understanding your purpose. I let go of the past, I trust in the future, and accept the present moment. Yeah. You had to let go of... I feel like with regards to this situation, like anything that went on, you've just let go of. You're not holding on to any resentment, any, like, I don't feel like there's any, like, it just feels like you don't need closure. You're done. There doesn't feel like there's any unfinished business. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Take care, stay safe, and I will see you soon. Namaste.